Hello, everyone. Welcome to the penultimate installment of Into the Snyder-Verse, a backlot banter miniseries. I'm your host, Tanner Dykstra. I'm joined, as always, by Tucker Hazel and Abram Buhner. Today, as I said, the penultimate episode, we are discussing Zack Snyder's Justice League. I don't know where the air quote should go around Zack Snyder's Justice League or Zack Snyder's Justice League. But we're talking about the 2017 Justice League film, which is credited to be directed by Zack Snyder.
Mhm.
And if you have been watching these films along with us, or if you're just familiar with his works and you're watching them kind of sequentially, this is obviously not directed by Zack Snyder.
No.
Obviously, no.
Obviously not.
So, folks, well, we always start these off by saying how long it's been since we last saw this. I haven't seen it since theaters. I'm going to go on a limb and say it's the same for you two lads.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
100%.
so it's been a number of years, and boy, this was a we'll get into it, but I think we should preface this by saying this is a review of the film. We're not going to be talking about the various production issues that went into this film. All I know is I think the best estimates are that up to 70% of this film was reshot
Yes.
and rewritten to some extent by Joss
Mhm.
Whedon.
Yeah.
So I will note before we start, and I said this to Jean when we were watching it, it was very hard for me to separate all of the baggage surrounding this film
Mhm.
around Justice League, as the Snyder apologist in my heart likes to call it, and the actual film
I always
itself.
hate that. It sounds. I mean, it does sound really gross, and it's a
Yes.
gross. It is
It's
gross.
fitting.
But I mean, just the word is. I think the word Justice League is grosser than the film.
Well, Abram has
We'll get
co-opted
into it.
me into calling this film Justice League as
Yeah,
well.
I know.
Speaking of things that are disgusting, we'll just crack right off the bat here and talk about the opening scene of this film, which is
Oh God.
the vertically
lip.
filmed cell phone footage of Mr. Henry Cavill as Superman. And it's also fitting of the very first note on my phone for this film, just the word mustache. Tucker, I believe, has it as the lip.
I got
But,
a lip.
I don't think
Double
we can-
underlined. The lip.
I don't think we can acknowledge this film without acknowledging the mustache lip situation.
Which is emblematic of the entire film, by the way.
Of course, the
And-
situation being that Henry Cavill had a mustache after this film had wrapped up.
When it
for
released, he
4
no longer had a mustache in the film.
Well, yeah, he had a mustache.
How did it
because he was
happen? Who the
filming,
fuck knows?
Mission Impossible Fallout. They went back for reshoots. There was a whole debacle. They ended up not shaving his mustache and instead digitally erasing it.
And at the time when I saw the film, I was a staunch defender and saying it's not that bad, it's not that noticeable.
Yeah, I was the same way first time.
I must have not been wearing my glasses at the movie theater because
boy.
watching it again today, it was
Oh, you watched it today?
awful. Or sorry, last night.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Watching it again last night, it's distractingly awful.
Oh, it's really bad. Because it makes everything that he said, it makes all of his emotions not come across properly because his mouth is not shaped like a human mouth in most cases. Like, it's so clear when he's trying to talk, his lip is like gumming around.
It twitches a little bit. It twitches too much and moves too much a little bit.
God.
But he just seems his whole demeanor, because of the lip and maybe because of the performance of the reshoot, because a lot of the people in this movie feel very much done with the with whatever scene they're filming. He seems like bothered that these kids are interviewing him for a podcast, which
fun, I think.
Okay. But I guess
Talk
that
about
is in
hippos
line.
and stuff.
That is in line with Henry Cavill Superman's overall demeanor, just bothered that he has to help people.
One of the only laughs I had in the film was when the little kid asks if he's ever fought a hippo. I don't know why that made me laugh.
It's pretty good.
But
Here's the thing.
it's a cute line.
It's a kid say the darndest things kind of dumb kid moment. It actually feels like a genuine moment of lighthearted comedy.
One of the only, if not the only, throughout the film as we get into.
Yeah.
Genuine is the key word.
Yeah.
So
hippo. That's a great line. It's not smartly written, but it's fun.
Yeah.
You don't get enough hippo humor in films these days.
All right, we're moving on. We're moving on to the next
More
scene.
hippos.
We're moving on to the next scene, which is maybe the only one that feels like a Zack Snyder scene because of the gratuitous use of slow-mo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the opening credits, right?
Yeah, the opening credits. Yes, correct.
Which are intended to show the impact on the world after Superman has died. Things are starting to fall apart. There's a lot of monuments built around the world. People are paying their respects.
Racism exists again.
Yeah, and to show that the world is falling apart, they just have normal crime of someone being racist, someone robbing a store. Like, it's not like if Superman was here, none of that would happen, guys. Trust
Well,
me.
here's my issue with this is that the whole world is mourning the loss of Superman.
Yes.
As if like they're erasing the whole conflict of humanity in the last movie, which was it was about 50-50. People were like, Superman sucks, he's horrible, get out of here. Or Superman is literally Jesus, please save us, Superman. And they basically erased that whole conflict and said, no, everyone misses Superman now, including the Batman.
Mr.
Ben
the
Affleck's
Batman.
Mr. the Batman, Ben Affleck's the Batman.
Well, here's the problem. This is the problem with the entire film. Zack Snyder is a director with a vision. Whether or not you think his vision is pretentious horse shit or you find it legitimately compelling, he has a vision. There's a jab at a theme. There's no vision. There is no theme. There is nothing underpinning Justice League, which is why I found that opening sequence on a second watch very frustrating. With Sigrid's cover of that really good song just feeling out of sync with what was happening, it just between the vertical fucked up mustache footage and the opening title sequence for this film, you just know what you're getting into.
Yeah. So I think we should forego sort of like breaking down this scene by scene, and let's
Yes.
I brought up Batman. Let's talk about the characters. Well, this is the Justice League, which is a weird thing in itself. Is like, this is the Justice League movie we got. Iconic characters have lasted nearly a century in comics, and this is the Justice League movie.
Tanner, I want to at least me personally, I have to zoom out a little bit more to address the characters.
Okay.
Because not my biggest problem, but one of the biggest issues of this film is the awful script. And the script really characterizes all of these guys in awful ways. There are a couple great moments. It's like when you're digging through your junk drawer and you find like a nickel. You're excited you found a nickel, but it's only exciting.
It's still just a fucking nickel.
It's a nickel in the junk drawer. Because this dialogue, Batman doesn't feel like Batman.
No.
The Flash feels like the Ezra Miller that choked out a woman in an alleyway. The script is just it doesn't understand the characters. It plays the Justice League for a boardroom WB version of a really mediocre Marvel film, and it's incredibly disappointing.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they got Joss Whedon to like write down some jokes on a whiteboard, and then they just put those in a script. So I think we should start off with Batman, if you don't mind.
Well, no, I think we'll start off with Superman fanboy number 1, Batman, Bruce Wayne. Because everything he fucking says in this goddamn movie is, I really hope we can bring back Superman. We sure would be great if Superman was here. And he's just like piddling around like, wait, Superman was here.
I do like
holy fuck, so annoying.
In itself, I like that they flip the line of if there's even a 1% chance of absolute certainty or whatever. They flip that on his head in this. It's like, even if there's a 1% chance he could come back and save everyone in a moment that
exactly that, does he?
He might. Well, it's that similar line. He's like, even if there's a 1% chance he can come back to life and negate all of our actions in the finale of this film, then we should take that as an absolute certainty.
There is an interesting idea of this older Batman who is starting to realize his age and realize these things in a way that's very antithetical to how it happens in The Dark Knight Returns. But I like the idea of an older Batman, but he's not interesting. He cedes everything that makes Batman interesting in service of let's get Superman back. And the entire film becomes let's get Superman back, even though getting Superman back ends up taking up 15 minutes of the film. It's bizarre. It's not a good character arc.
I was surprised by how fast this one went by. Regardless of the fact that it is the shortest one we've watched, it went by like that. And that is not, I don't say that in a good way.
Well, honestly, I would consider that a positive.
Okay.
Because I would say a film dragging or you feeling the runtime is a bad thing.
True.
So if
That's
you
true.
don't, it's a positive. However, that's not because the movie's good. I
Yeah.
think it's because the pacing is so fucking squirted out of a blender. It's the shit that you left the top off of the blender and the blender's going blah, blah, blah. And it's the crap that came out the top of it. Because they just throw together any scene they want, anywhere they want, any characters they want. It doesn't matter. And that's the first 2/3 of the movie, I would say, until the League sort of comes together to actually revive Superman. And maybe that's a little bit of an extension of the length there, but they just do not care about consistency in the first 2 acts of this film.
Tucker, I mean no offense to your terrible subjective opinions, but this film's pacing is a lot like Rise of Skywalker's pacing in the sense that there is so much ground to cover that every scene has to be expository and every scene has to have something happening that doesn't develop a character beat or a theme really. And if it does, it's only because the plot needs it to happen.
You just lost control.
It just has to keep moving forward and forward and forward. And sometimes that frantic pace works. Like one of the only scenes that works for me is when the Amazonians are trying to keep the mother box away from Steppenwolf. That's a fun sequence.
Who the guy? Steppenwolf.
The villain.
fucking Polygon Man #1.
So sometimes the fast pace results in sequences that are legitimately fast to communicate information to make things happen in an engaging way. There's some fun superheroics that move the plot forward, but there's so much material here in 2 hours.
Yes,
that's so much material.
That's the scary part.
Speaking of the Themyscira scene, and also tying it back to the first scene that we're introduced to Batman, where he's busting a crook who's comically breaking into an apartment complex with a bag full of loot, and that guy also is an expository machine. He's like, an alien race, like from outer space, like an alien army. Like in one of Joss Whedon's other more successful superhero movies. But I want to talk about the color grading and CGI of this film. Because, oh Lord, oh dear God, oh please, stab me in the eyes with a pitchfork, is it atrocious?
The visual look of the film is one of the most obvious examples of it not being Zack Snyder's work and being a knee-jerk reaction to the media sphere surrounding DC's projects. The film looks terrible.
They heard people saying, "Oh, these DC movies are too dark and gritty," and they took that literally. And they're like, "I don't know, just bump up the color grading a lot,
bump up the brightness in Premiere, guys."
That first scene with Batman, it's basically as bright as day. For Christ's sake, the final battle, the sky is like I saw a comparison from the trailers to the actual final cut of the theatrical version. The sky went from black and gray, which classic DC, to just like bright red for some reason.
Yeah,
they just made that whole finale bright red.
Why was it red? I can't remember.
No reason, because they needed to bump up the color grading.
I would also like to note before we get off of the Batman sequence that we're beating into the ground, it's emblematic of another thing I really don't like about this cut of the film, is the awful wink wink nudge nudge fan service to DC fans. We get it. You're referencing the animated series intro. We get it. We get it. You remix the 1989 Batman theme. We get it.
Oh, yeah, the Danny Elfman score. Yeah.
Cyborg says booyah. We get it. It's so awful. It's designed
Superman says he's a fan of truth and also justice.
Not the American way, mind you. He doesn't throw that in there.
A couple other characters say the things that their characters say.
There is the one joke about Batman is that his superpower is that he's rich.
Rich, yes. And we also do the one joke about Aquaman. They talks to fish, guys. Isn't that funny?
Hilarious.
Actually, they do that one twice. They do that one twice.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Ugh, Christ.
No, but you're right. You're right, Abram. A lot of the things are intended to feel like, hey, we're finally giving you the fan service that wasn't really trickled throughout.
A lighthearted DC movie, like you always wanted.
But that fan service also doesn't make sense in the context of the social degenerate who is the Flash. The film is so at odds with itself in terms of who is this for, What are they trying to accomplish?
Yeah.
And who, like Aquafina in our Card in the Corner review to Rain the Last Dragon, who let Ezra Miller do what he does in the movie? He's got low blood sugar.
Let's talk about the Flash. Okay, I said we were going to talk about this character by character. Let's go to the Flash next. I have him in my notes as Flash the fuckwit because that's what he is.
Oh,
He's
piss
just
baby Flash.
when they
Oh.
introduce him, it's like, okay, he's not very he's pretty socially inept. That can make for some interesting points. He needs friends. That's what everyone else in the Justice League is basically isolated from their world or society in general. That's why they come together under this one roof of the Justice League. But also, Ezra Miller as Flash is just a Joss Whedon quip machine, and I fucking despise it.
Yeah, it was bad.
He's like, hey, if Wonder Woman kills you, we're gonna cover for her. What is that funny? What?
I think that was a joke.
It was certainly played as a joke. It also doesn't work as like a regular line for him.
It's the MCU problem of, and kind of Disney in general problem of, end any emotional moment with a joke so people don't feel anything and care.
Sure.
Yes.
The Flash serves to do that, which is just, I've got low blood sugar.
Yeah.
That's cool.
He doesn't understand brunch. Isn't that fucking hilarious? Isn't it so weird? But everyone knows what brunch is. It's not a joke. It's not a funny joke, Joss Whedon. Everyone understands the concept of brunch. Making your socially inept character not understand the concept of brunch isn't endearing in the slightest. Also, Flash, learn how to run, you fucking idiot. You run like a goddamn... What is that running for? Why did they decide to do that to him?
It's supposed to be like a spectacle. Look at how fast he's going and how exaggerated his movements are, but it just comes off as weird.
He doesn't know how to run, and also he trips like 5 times in this movie.
He does.
You're the Flash. You run fast. Learn how to fucking run.
But Tanner, what does he trip into?
Oh, he does the classic Joss Whedon joke of falling on some boobs. Hilarious stuff, Joss Whedon. I'm sure that will age perfectly, just like your career in your past.
Can we segue also into the fucking hungry, thirsty boardroom?
Oh, that's a great
scene?
joke. Yeah.
What?
I
don't remember
not a great
this
joke.
one.
No, that Martha Kent calls Lois Lane thirsty.
Oh yeah, that's great.
That's gonna age well, guys.
Joss Whedon went on Twitter once and saw that, and he's like, "That's going in my movie.
I got an idea.
I got an idea for a
This film just upsets me. That's the bottom line.
We'll get to this at the end, but it is the worst one. It is the worst.
Yeah. It's an insult to DC fans, and it's an affront to just general film viewers.
Wonder Woman is okay, I guess. She probably comes out the most unscathed in this movie, I'd say. Her introductory scene is fine. Just some nondescript terrorists who are like, we're gonna blow up this bank and the world is going to go back to the Dark Ages.
Yeah, but she does some cool Wonder Woman-y stuff, and I think that's one of the scenes that could feel in place in another film. It feels out of place because it actually feels like it's competently heroic and fitting of the character.
Speaking of making her competently heroic, not a fan of either. I don't know. We'll wait and see for the Snyder Cut, but I'm not a fan of how they filmed Gal Gadot in this movie. There's some gratuitous butt shots that are. There's a number of them in this movie. I want to think it's creepy Joss Whedon, but it might also be Zack Snyder being a bit of a creep. Well, but we'll see, I guess.
I think it's Joss Whedon because correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that stuff was in BVS.
Yeah, well, she was in BVS for 4 seconds. So.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I'm going to go on a limb and say, given the news story that have come out about either of these gentlemen, I'm going to say it was Joss Whedon and not Zack Snyder.
Yes. Yes.
We'll have to see.
We'll have to see.
But 4 hours of times that could possibly be butt shots. What percentage of that runtime will be butt shots? Hopefully not more than 1%. That would end up being a lot.
That's still 1% of 4 hours is still a lot of Gal Gadot ass.
Exactly.
So.
Do you say Aquaman, Abram?
Yeah.
When you talk about Aquaman, I like Surfer Dude Aquaman. I kind of like it. My man. Wahoo!
I don't really.
Either.
I actually like comic Aquaman, like New 52 and Rebirth Aquaman. I think is a pretty interesting character. this version of him doesn't give a fuck about that. I think he's more engaging in James Wan's Aquaman.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
because he actually has like a human side to him in that movie.
Yeah, he's got a human side. He's got just a little bit more to hold on to. I think the least offensive of the new additions.
Yeah,
because he's also given the least to do.
Yeah,
true. He's really incredibly supportive. Not support. He's a supporting character. Like he gets the least like things to flesh him out. He has one interaction with Mara, which is so forgettable. Holy
just
fuck,
like
it's forgettable.
Well, also it's a classic reshoot that you can tell because they go into this air pocket, but they're both like Atlanteans, but that's clearly just because they can set them against the green screen and put the water flowing behind them as the background. It's definitely just a reshoot. He has that one really trite moment where he sits on the lasso and he's like has a heartfelt moment, and they call that character.
Does that even how the lasso of truth works? Doesn't have to be wrapped around you.
I don't know. If you touch it, I guess it's fine. But they have that one thing, and they call that character development for him, I guess.
These films play fast and loose with the lasso of truth. Even you watch everyone does something different. But
they also play less and truth with what character development is.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't hate that moment. I think that's one of the few kind of it's not a character development moment, but as a gag, I think it's one of the more successful ones. But again, nickel in the junk drawer.
Yeah,
but in the hierarchy, I think it's on the better side.
That should be the tagline of this review.
It's like a nickel in a junk drawer.
Well, actually, no, because that implies that the entire film is a nickel, which is not true.
No, it's the junk drawer.
It's the junk drawer.
Junk drawer and a nickel.
Let's talk about Cyborg, who I'd say probably comes out the worst in this because his bit of plot development just gets dropped. His character development of like his internal conflict of like, oh my god, am I actually a mother box? Am I being like pulled in different directions? Am I gonna be a bad guy? He accidentally shoots Superman at one point.
No, he almost shoots him.
Almost.
He goes right by his head.
And that's it. I think that's where that line kind of ends. I'm pretty sure. Aquaman doesn't trust him, and then he does trust him, and there's no real reason why that happens.
Cyborg, I think going into Cyborg stuff is where it becomes hardest not to bring in all of the behind the scenes shit that went on.
Yeah, from what Ray Fisher has come out and said that the mistreatment that he experienced on the set,
between not only the way he was treated by WB, but Zack Snyder coming out and saying how he was the heart of his version. I'm really actually excited to see Ray Fisher because I think Ray Fisher is a good Cyborg.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see him actually handled well and be important beyond a plot device of I can hack into things and tear mother boxes apart.
My main issue with him is he's a Deus Ex Machina. He's a key that can solve anything. He can hear anything he wants anywhere. He can diddle with little any technology, and it suddenly just goes and it does what he wants. The line of we have to get to fucking Russia or whatever, but the plane don't go that fast. It does for me.
How?
What? Huh?
That's not how planes work.
He make it go faster though, trust me.
Yeah.
But I think it's really unfortunate that he does get shafted like that because I think out of the 3 new characters that we got, first of all, it was a bad idea to introduce 3 new characters in one film.
Christ, was it? Listen, I don't want to say that they should just copy Marvel, but hey, like the Avengers movies have worked and this didn't. So what do you want? All right. I'm not saying they should just do solo movie team up, but
why do you not want to say that though? Hold on, we're stopping the conversation. Okay. Why would you not want to say it?
Because I don't.
Clearly allows characters to receive the development that they deserve. It allows the crossover movies to be more impactful. This doesn't work because as a script, and we'll have to see what Snyder Cut means. But every team up movie should not need 4 movies to properly develop it. Or sorry, 4 hours to properly develop its characters.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there is probably a way that you can do this, introduce 3 new characters and make it good. I'm sure there is. It's not great, and it could be better, obviously, with individual setup, but I don't want to be like, they should have just did what Marvel did and then be immediately better.
I like to do my best not to praise Marvel whenever we talk about films, even though I secretly am a big Marvel fan.
Yeah.
The introduction of Black Panther and Spider-Man and Civil War, I think, is pretty good. I do think that when you're already making a nerdy fucking comic book movie, if you can get around making an hour and a half origin story and seamlessly integrate characters into a larger plot line, like Civil War did, and like, in my opinion, what BVS did for Wonder Woman. I think you can do it. I'm also not huge on the cinematic universe format overall, so I tend to skew more towards Tanner. But I think that you can write characters into a story like this, but it just needs to be a film with a vision. It can't be. This film is this film is a 2-hour version of the flash drive sequence in BVS.
Good fucking point. Good fucking point.
There's a difference between how a board at WB sees the necessity to integrate characters and how fans want them to be handled. I think you can get by a lot on people coming into these films with understanding of characters and cleverly writing them into a plot, like Civil War, like some of the DC stuff.
I think Spider-Man came out very well out of that. We don't need references to Uncle Ben. We know his what essentially the story of Spider-Man is. So you just get that new version of Spider-Man. It ties it into the rest of the world. Unfortunately, this film, I think, the reason it doesn't do what you wanted is it gives us the origins of all these characters. Of course, we got.
Well, we got their origins on that Flash show.
No, we didn't. We got a Flash in a fucking shop.
Yeah.
We got Aquaman in a Titanic thing going. But they did show origin clips for all those characters in this film, and I think that's why it took up such a solid chunk of it that you felt like you were okay. Well, now we got to hit the story beats for this character, so it pays off later, so that they can. Oh God. And I just have to say that I think that my biggest issue with this film, even though there's obviously a litany of them, is the fact that even with the characters we don't get interesting character dynamics whatsoever.
No.
None of the characters have unique bonds between one another. There are hints of it. Of course, Wonder Woman and Batman been heroes the longest, kind of knew each other a little bit. That there are hints of that. There are hints of Batman sort of being a mentor to Flash. Only a little bit.
Hardly.
There's a fist bump that might be racially charged between Cyborg and Flash. That's a weird joke in the film that doesn't work. But
most of the jokes are weird and don't work.
We have a team of characters that are so interesting, conceptually. It's very unfortunate that their personalities don't show or bounce off each other in any interesting way. I don't think that every character in the Marvel Universe works, but there's a web of relationships there that allows you to tie each character in a certain way, and it enhances their personalities when they're able to bounce off one another. This movie just had them all filling like essentially the same role.
They're all outsiders who are sort of spurned by society, and they come together and they're like, "Are you an outsider spurned by society? So am I."
This film, the other thing that's weird about it is, ultimately almost nobody matters because the film is about Superman. Which is bizarre. The film is about
at the end
Superman.
of the last movie.
We
got approximately an hour of Superman dead time.
I will say, bringing him back to life is way worse than I remembered it being, but I still like when Flash is in the Speed Force and Superman turns to look at him. I think
that's cool.
Great moment.
There's some great moments, but also Batman's contingency plan is he's going to drive Lois Lane up. Batman's contingency plan in the comics is literally to fucking kill every member of the Justice League. And the best he could do here is have Lois Lane be driven over by Alfred.
I think we've established that this version of Batman is a dumbass.
He's not the greatest detective.
I'd also like to say I think that Flash moment would work a lot better if Flash was better characterized. If he looked like he knew how to use his superpowers. And B, if he was like a super cocky guy and not like the weird like antisocial like fuckwit that Joss Whedon made him. If he was like cocky, he's like, hey, I'll just run circles around everybody. I'll push guys over. I'll run through all these parademons, no problem. And then he faces off against Superman, and he's the first guy that locks eyes with him while he's running against him. That would be much better, and it'd be a much better character moment for both of them, and it'd make their connection when they're saving people either later in nondescript Eastern European location. It would make that little interaction a lot better, but the film doesn't even strive for any of that. It doesn't even make the attempt.
Yeah.
I am incredibly excited to talk about what is perhaps the most egregiously unnecessary side plot I've seen in a comic book movie in a long time with the nondescript European family.
Oh.
Yeah,
They're meant
every
to-
time they show up, we were like, ah, yes, the Russian family. Hello.
Do they have do they have lines? Do they have lines?
Yeah, one kid, they're like, Yuri, and of course his name is Yuri. Yuri, stop trying to make the radio
Stop making
work.
the radio work. Yeah, it's never gonna work.
Oh,
And then it works.
I guess they're meant to bring some humanizing elements to this story. But you know who should bring the humanizing elements? The main fucking characters, Joss. That's who should bring the humanizing elements.
Men's rights activist Flash should have been the one to humanize this film.
Listen, he watches a lot of Rick and Morty, as we see from his Flash cave, and I think it shows. I think it really shows. Okay, let's talk about Steppenwolf. Let's talk about the entirety of the plot of this movie. Because okay, so let's break it down. Steppenwolf, he's a destroyer of worlds, just like they give him the most basic villain origin story that you can. He wants to terraform
and villain and bad minions, and
he wants to terraform the Earth, which is what Zod wanted to do. So they just took that. They gave him 3 MacGuffins he had to gather.
He gathers them very quickly.
He gathers them very, very quickly.
This last one off screen. Oh shit! Oh look! God damn it! He got the last one.
I'll get to that in just a second, because the first one he gets from Themyscira because it's guarded by a bunch of people with regular bows and arrows.
I still think that's a fun sequence. I think
it's one of the better sequences in the film.
I think it looks like a compositing nightmare. But continue.
I mean, I think it's just in a film that feels very flat. There's some real sense of urgency to all of these Amazons dying, and the wrapping up the mother box with the arrow, shooting the arrow. It's visually interesting.
Where are they going?
Away from all they're doing.
Only one person has left the island ever.
Right, but I think that the idea, and bear with Joss Whedon and Chris Terrio on this one, is that all of the 100 million Amazons that charge down the hill at 1 second, we're gonna stop. I think they were there's gonna be a climactic battle, but that didn't happen.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think kind of in the Rogue One Darth Vader sequence type of way, there's a fun sense of tension to pass in that mother box along.
The second one is just he gets it from the Atlanteans. That's about it.
Yeah, that's a quick sequence.
Yeah, that was quick. And the third one, I'd like to say, that was given to just regular humans, no superpowers, no super strength, just kind of regular guys.
They buried it.
Also 5,000 years. They say that was 5,000 years ago, and they show Knights of the Round Table. That's now. I don't know who okayed that, but that's not when that happened.
No, it's very true. I didn't think of that. Yeah, and first I'm like, oh, it's like Romans or something. But no, that was when the Romans were
5,000 years ago. Was that Neanderthals?
No.
Maybe.
No, there was culture, but
okay.
I have no fucking clue.
I don't know anything about. We watch DC movies for this show. We don't read history books. But speaking of the history of this, we get a cool sequence of the original battle for the mother boxes. The Atlanteans, the Themyscirans, the Green Lanterns are there, and Themyscirians. And I think probably my first time seeing the theater, watching this movie, I was like, all right, when are the Green Lanterns showing up? When are we gonna get Green Lantern tease in this movie? And then it just kept going.
The sector's too big for them to know that this shit's going down again. fucking Hal Jordan or Jon Stewart, whoever's up there, just does not give a shit this time.
I guess not. It's probably what's his Guy Gardner. That's why he doesn't show up. It's probably Guy Gardner. But yeah, and the third mother box that he collects is because they bring Superman back to life, and then they leave the mother box on top of a car. They leave it on top of the one MacGuffin. They have one goal to stop Steppenwolf from ending the entire world. But because the story is reliant on Superman saving the day and not the entire Justice League keeping the mother box away from Steppenwolf, they just leave it. The one thing they've been, oh my God, we have to protect this, and we have to retreat.
Right,
we have to protect it.
Everyone, what would you like to say? Shut up, Sarah.
Okay.
I was just gonna say that I was watching this movie with Jean, and I literally looked over to say something to her, and I looked back, and the mother box was gone. And
they have
it's kind of like the people in the movie. Wait, I thought you grabbed it.
It's just somehow there's they're like two plot. You could write the Sparks Notes summary of this movie in 3 sentences, and somehow they still manage to fuck it up.
They see the
It's just-
boom tube come. I just thought of this joke. So sorry. I have to drop this in. They see the boom
Jesus
tube
Christ.
come down, and it's like, oh no, he has the mother box. And then Batman looks at Superman. He's like, I thought the mother box was with you. And then Superman looks at him. He's like, I thought it was with you.
No, well, no. Here's the thing:
It's
you can't do
just-
that joke. You can't do that joke because Pet Cemetery Superman is
Oh,
here,
yeah.
baby, and he's mad, guys.
Except when he sees
he's
Lois.
angry, except when he sees Lois, and they knew this was gonna happen because they're like, what if Pet Cemetery? What if his soul is gone? Uh-oh! And then guess fucking what? Soul is gone. We
Lois
gotta
is
fight
the key.
him.
Lois is
We
the
gotta
key.
fight him.
Also,
Is
it's
there-
how stupid is it that Lois showing up to say, hey, Clark, it's me, is the one thing standing in the way of the Nightmare Sequence universe. That's the one thing. Apparently, according to this movie.
I just
Speak it,
want
spit
to
it out.
say I really hate the awfully framed overhead shot of Batman lying on the ground saying, "Yeah, something's bleeding."
Yeah, they
I
had to give
really fucking hate that.
they had to give him some quips. I also speaking of more Batman things we hate that make him not feel like Batman. When Superman's like, I thought you hated me. He's like, well, I kind of like you, but I guess not really, a little bit.
Seth Rogen laugh.
Can we just get to the fucking terrible climax of this movie so we can
Let's
stop
go.
talking about it?
Let's just skip to the end. Let's
Yeah.
rip this. Let's finish ripping this Band-Aid off. So
We're ripping the Band-Aid apart. Nothing's
Yeah.
healing from this.
Yeah,
we
no.
have nothing to cover this.
we're ripping
gaping
it off
wound.
and we're picking at the scab.
The scab
fine.
being a large natural shield that Steppenwolf has created that Batman just like, I know what I'll do. I'll fly right into it and then it'll go right down. So that's not an issue.
How many vehicles does Batman crash in this finale?
Oh,
2,
God.
3, maybe 4?
The climax of the movie is fine. It's really fine. It's Parademons versus Justice League. They kind of fly around. They fight a little bit. They kind of hit each other. It's fine. It's my problem that I have with 95% of Marvel and DC films. It's just a bunch of CGI fucking nonsense.
Yeah.
And so I honestly don't think it's that bad, but I don't think it's very good either.
It certainly doesn't help the movie in any way, so I will continue to shit on it mercilessly.
I will say the worst part though is that so nobody on the Justice League, including the Flash, is scared, so the Parademons didn't swarm them.
Absolutely
but
not.
Steppenwolf's axe breaks, and he's so fucking terrified that every Parademon in the zip code runs over and jumps on him and takes him to the fucking moon.
Back to
You know what's also pretty egregious is the fact that fucking Batman just designed this loudspeaker that plays this exact noise that he accidentally found out makes them go wonky, and he fucking plays it out of the Bat machine, and then they go away for a little bit.
No.
That's such a fucking stupid way to do that.
Oh,
God.
Christ. No, we get more Eastern European family. Apparently they aren't the only people, even though they're the only people we saw. I like the little moment of Flash is saving the car and Superman saving the entire apartment building. That's a little fun moment.
Looked really bad.
Oh,
Holy
look!
shit, that
the whole-
shot was bad.
Let's just say that this entire movie looked really bad.
Yeah.
Can we just make that a blanket statement?
It's partially CGI, but shots just aren't even framed well. Like
No.
it feels amateurish. It's
Yeah.
not good. I kept thinking like if this movie came out and
Should be in
On the-
4-3.
we'll get to that next week. If this movie came out in like 2002, like
I could excuse it.
Yeah.
Um,
So they beat Steppenwolf, and
Well,
he
how do you-
gets doinked out.
how do you guys feel about the Superman just 180 about truth and justice, and he uses his freeze breath, he uses various other fun Superman powers, and he just kind of wipes the floor with Steppenwolf, which like I said, negates the roles of all the other Justice League, because it's what Abram said as well, is that this movie ultimately then isn't about them beating Steppenwolf. It's about them bringing Superman back and then just
he can
letting
beat
him
Steppenwolf.
take care of
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
Which is why, because the other thing that's annoying is that Superman comes back. He's like, I'm just gonna head home for a little while.
Yeah.
And they
Exactly.
go, and they fight Steppenwolf without him, and then he shows up at Deus Ex Mankind Divided. He
Yeah.
just shows up to fucking defeat Steppenwolf, which is it's.
Um,
I do like.
where does he get his new suit from?
Oh yeah, well, a quick question. Okay, a couple quick questions. All
Okay,
right,
okay.
just like really bad, egregious plot holes in this. So obviously, we see them digging up Superman's grave.
Yeah.
Stupid scene, terrible scene. I don't know why they would show that. Holy
The,
fuck, that's bad.
the rectangularly cut out grave.
Yeah, perfect.
They really good with those shovels.
Uh-huh.
And then, which means that they like moved his corpse. Obviously, they
Yeah.
brought it to the Kryptonian ship. However, when Superman goes into the fucking revival pool,
The goo.
he's in his superhero suit. He was buried in a Clark Kent tuxedo suit,
It
which
was,
means
yeah.
they stripped him naked and put him in a suit.
Wait, no, he's not in the suit when he goes in because he comes out and he's just wearing his black pants.
And yeah, he's wearing like track pants.
He's wearing track pants.
Wait, okay, what the fuck am I thinking of?
Because you get
No,
shirt,
he goes home shirtless and he puts on a
Oh,
flannel.
okay.
He puts on a classic
Never
Kansas
mind.
farm boy flannel shirt, and then he arrives in Russia with the Superman suit on.
Yeah, and also the hole in his body is just healed. Gigantic fucking gaping hole.
Yep.
If we can't get black suit Superman, we'll get like black juicy pants Superman.
Adidas track pants and like, orange flannel Superman.
By the way, zero emotional resonance to him coming home and seeing Lois and then his mom.
That's just more evidence to me saying like these people have had some semblance of charisma and screen presence in the last few movies. I think this is just them doing reshoots and them being like, this is not gonna be good. What am I doing? I'm standing against a green screen. Is there a cornfield behind me? Is there an ocean behind me? Is there a big red sky nuclear plant behind me? Where am I? What is this happening?
We'll touch on it after, or at least I'll touch on it again. But I rewatched the Snyder Cut trailer, and there's a scene of like Clark, and he has one arm around Lois and one around Martha, and they're like hugging in a cornfield, and there is way more emotion in that than fucking anything that any of these characters do when they meet each other in this cut.
Yeah.
So they beat Steppenwolf. He gets zoinked out of there by presumably Darkseid, which that's not properly set up at all.
Nope.
And then turned into alien flowers. Everything turns into alien flowers.
Everything
which
turns into
probably shouldn't let anyone touch. I bet those things are pretty fucking dangerous. Not gonna lie. Like I wouldn't let my kids back near that.
And the film ends, and it ends. It ends.
This hard line ends. But no, we get two post-credit scenes. First post-credit scenes
I didn't watch them.
Oh, okay.
But also the film does not just end. There's a whole sequence there of them of Lois Lane reading poetry and everyone's like going back to their lives.
Lois Lane's thing of like, Superman's back. I can be a hard-hitting journalist again and stop writing these fluff pieces. And then she just writes the most trite, nonsense, non-specific, like, heroes are good. And if we're sad, the heroes will come back and then life will be good again.
Well, Joss Whedon doesn't write female characters well.
That's true.
He just doesn't, and that's why I don't think like the ass shots or a lot of the stuff is going to be in Zack Snyder's cut.
Yeah.
Because his Lois Lane is pretty empowered. I like her.
I think we said that in the Man of Steel review.
Yeah.
Probably the best Lois Lane we've ever seen in the movie.
Yeah, and this was this was waiting on a man.
She was thirsty.
Lois.
She was thirsty.
Thirsty for
hungry.
some nondescript Asian guy in the office.
Yeah.
That was a weird thing.
It was.
Oh hey. One Flash joke that you'd like, just looking at my notes. When he says, "God, I hope this is East," I like that.
Good joke. Good joke.
I did like that.
Flash, go east, save some people. Why east? What other directions? Not people.
Because he's like, the people live at the east side of this. Go save them. And he's like, God, I hope this is East. I did like that. Abram, so you haven't seen the post-credit scenes for this movie, like in theater?
I'm sure I did in the theaters, but I didn't rewatch them now. I immediately turned the movie off.
Well, there's the Superman and the Flash racing.
Okay. Oh yeah, I remember that from.
And
Flash
I'm sure you remember the other one, which is that
set up for the sequel.
Lex Luthor broke out of Arkham, and there's
Oh,
a
right.
giggly bald guy in his place.
Well, he
Right,
doesn't giggle. He doesn't, because this is a complete 180 from everything that's been in the last few movies. So he's just bald-headed in a suit, regular Lex Luthor now.
That's on the yacht
Oh.
with Deathstroke, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
no, but
yes,
the
it
guy
is.
in the jail cell that replaces
Oh,
him.
yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I was saying.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
As if we should have a league of our own.
Like the baseball movie with Tom Hanks.
Joe Mag, by the way, one of the biggest travesties out of DC's fucking, or W's bungling of the DCU is we're not getting a Gareth Evans, Joe Manganiello Deathstroke movie, which would have been fucking awesome.
That was supposed to be a movie?
Yeah, because he did the raid for people who aren't familiar, and that would have been nuts. But this was better, I guess.
We did it. We did it, folks.
We did it. We talked about Justice League.
What do we want to do like a broad, like, what about this universe? What is up with this? Are they gonna come back to this? Should they come back to this? Is it good on the whole? I'm gonna say no.
No, because here's the thing. We've discussed Zack Snyder having a vision for the last two movies, which made them feel somewhat coherent. It made them feel like they were going somewhere. Obviously, this dropped most of that for more of a boardroom approach to telling a universe, to introducing characters, to doing fan service. However, I don't think either universe is particularly interesting. And I don't think that it would have been that good if they had allowed it to go on, because there's just too much shit thrown in here to service this small amount of movies we were getting.
Yeah.
And they've expanded each little line that they can salvage to pull it out to somewhere else. They shoehorned Wonder Woman 1984 in there, which does not impact her character at all in the movies that she's in. Time-wise after it, it's just really sad. But I think there is a possibility that they can pick themselves up by their pants, fucking flashpoint everything back to a weird hero, and move on with something a little more compelling, interesting, and well written. Because there are plot lines that are interesting. There are character aspects that I think should be explored more. There are obviously a lot of characters, a lot of stories in these worlds that should be told and can be done in interesting ways, but they weren't here. And it's just fucking sad, man.
Yeah. So it's interesting we're recording this discussion now, because recently Restore the Snyder-Verse has been trending on Twitter.
Interesting.
And Snyder has been rumored by people such as Grace Randolph, who is basically a direct line from God, being Zack Snyder, to everybody in the community. She gets interviews with him like literally every week. He's rumored to be directing Wonder Woman 3. There's talks to get him to do 2 more Justice League films. A lot is hinging on the Snyder Cut living up to the amount of fucking fan fervor around it in terms of streaming numbers and everything. So that could be interesting. My perspective is rooted in my enjoyment of comics. I'm not big on reading comics in continuity. I'm not big on bouncing from book to book. What I like is more contained stories. You're Superman for all seasons. You're Batman Long Halloween. Big Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale fan. So I think the route forward for DC, because this is a fucking train wreck, and even if this had been good, I think the route forward are your standalone films that are not connected, which I know it doesn't service what people want from DC making an MCU, but don't, because for as much as I think that Joker is not a good movie, having individual films like that stand on their own, I think is really important for DC and better. If you want to restore the Snyder-Verse, I'll be right there for it as Backlog Banter's number one Snyder apologist. But on the whole, I just don't think that the cinematic universe can be built on this foundation. This is a house built on a sinkhole, built inside of like a volcano.
Yeah. That's also inside of a whirlpool. Just keep going. But I think that is a reasonable point. I mean, unfortunately, I don't think that's the direction that they're going to go, because even though we did get Joker, and whether or not you think it's a good movie or not, it does do what you were saying is standalone story, character, different world, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's in the minority. Birds of Prey is connected to Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman 84, obviously.
Aquaman 2,
Shazam 2, Black Adam. All of these movies are already tied in. So they're still stringing along these things. I think the only thing that can change it really is Flashpoint. How that turns to possibly reset things. Obviously, we've got the Batman coming in, which is an entirely new universe. They've got too many cooks in too many kitchens right now, and I think it doesn't work.
Which is why you should have just let fucking Zack Snyder do it from the beginning and stick by your man. And what's confusing is that film was really successful. BVS was really successful. Man of Steel was really successful. They should have stuck. We're now on a tangent, so we should stop.
Yeah.
But Zack Snyder should have just been allowed to make the cinematic universe. And if they let him do it on HBO Max, and then he trickles back into the silver screen and everything, fine.
Mm-hmm.
Or just give me a Martian Manhunter movie connected to absolutely nothing. I'll be happy. Literally nothing.
They did have an investors day today where they announced some projects and went over some things that are still in development.
Like a Zatanna movie, I believe.
Yeah. So it's as many years as it's been since this came out, it's still entirely unclear what DC is really doing with their films. And maybe we'll never get a concrete answer. But we will get something concrete and long anticipated. And that is Zack Snyder's Justice League. 4 hours, 1 minute, and 28 seconds. All of it in its glory on HBO Max. It leaked a little bit on Tom and Jerry, but the whole wide world is going to be able to see it very soon.
Well, everyone who has HBO Max, which is only America. It's not available in other countries.
It's available both in theater and on different streaming services.
Yeah.
If you're not.
Is that true? Interesting.
Yes. It's getting a worldwide release and just in different ways in different territories.
Yeah, various other streaming services. But yes, and we will be reviewing that in the final episode, maybe the final episode of Into the Snyder-Verse, and unless it does gangbusters.
3 years from now.
Unless it does gangbusters, we'll bring the show back when Zack Snyder maybe directs Wonder Woman 3 if Abram's source is correct on Zack Snyder.
Mm-hmm.
If Zack Snyder directs Justice League Part 2 years later, who's to say? We'll be there. Are you going to be there? You better be there.
I will be there.
No, he's talking to the audience.
I'm talking to the audience, not you. I don't care about you. I want you to be there, audience. I want you to subscribe to this channel. We are the #1 Zack Snyder content channel. Look it up. We are. And guess what? After that movie comes out, Abram will probably never shut up about it. So we'll continue to be the #1 Zack Snyder content channel. So subscribe, like, even if you hate Zack Snyder, subscribe and like. Because we'll be here to make fun of Abram Buner for liking Zack Snyder. But thank you guys for watching all of these. We'll be back with Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I bid you all a farewell. Speaking of white neck beards, Joss Whedon. Okay, let's do it.